Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fireside Chat number 23 with our special guest, Ceara McCord. I'm your host,
Sierra.
Ceara,
Sorry.
Ceara?
like the soda, Sierra Mist.
Oh,
Or
Ceara. Okay.
Sierra, isn't that also like a games company?
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce them?
Probably.
Yeah, it's the Ceara Game Company is named after the mountains, I believe, which
Yeah.
Ceara Mist is also named after. So it all goes back to the same place.
I can't believe you did that, Brian. That's usually my role. It's usually my job to fuck up the names.
Oh, I know. Well, I see an A in there, and I wanted to pronounce it. So, okay.
A and then jumped at it. Like
Sierra, I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, but I got it right. You know what?
It happens all the time.
It's not as bad as when I had Blair White on, and I called her Theron on accident like
Oh no!
3 times or something, and I was like, I felt awful. I swear to God, Blair, I love you. I was not trying to conflate the two of you. You're individuals, totally. Anyway, Sierra, thanks for joining us, and Allison, thanks for coming in to control my spurging.
I think that I'm not exactly the right person to control spurging, because like the instant I open my fucking mouth, the spurg comes out. And really, I have nothing to I have no high horse there, because I think my worst mix-up was that guy T and Tyler Preston.
That's right, Tyler Preston. Well, we can make pasta salad together. So
and we can get 60K to make it.
Yes.
But we can't assure the quality of the product as me and Brian makes pasta salad together and sends it through the mail to the people who fund the potential pasta salad making.
And
now I'm hungry.
Now I'm
hungry. Now I'm hungry.
Want some carbs. So yes, Sierra, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, not a problem. Thanks for coming. And we just want to get to know you a little bit. And for the people who may be watching this show that don't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Well, I'm just a server. I work at Huddle House. And the whole YouTube thing that I do right now, I have a YouTube channel. It started out as kind of a hobby, kind of something that I did because I thought I needed to do it, because I heard Karen Strawn talking one day about how women are needed to speak out about all this stuff that goes on. So I was thinking, okay, well, I can do that. I mean, it's not like I have anything to lose. I don't have a career. I don't have anything that can be attacked to mess me up in my real life or something, so it's not really dangerous for me to do. I may as well do it. So I started a YouTube channel one day, and that's pretty much what I do now. I have a little bit of insight in the whole feminist thing, probably more than some people, because I was neck deep into it in college. I was a feminist for several years of my life.
So wait, you're telling me that in college you got embroiled with feminism? That sounds like such a rare and unlikely
I know.
story.
I cannot even believe it. I'm shocked. No. No, but yeah. It started in college with my professors telling me, all the statistics that we all know are bullcrap, and then it was made worse because I was infected with the green monster, Lacey Green.
Oh.
And she's so nice. So whenever I was in college and I was still this young impressionable idiot who would just listen to anything anybody told me, she just seemed so nice, and everything she said just seemed like it was so right, just because of how sweet she was, and because of how she had this degree, and she was a sex educator, and she had all these credentials and whatnot, and I was just like, okay, well, yeah, she's probably right then. And then you had Lacey Green, and then you had my college professors who also had degrees who were telling me all this stuff, and it was really easy for me to believe it, because I was thinking, well, growing up in rural Kentucky, everyone was like, oh, college is the real education. This is what you need to get to move forward in life. So when I got to college and they were all telling me this stuff, I was like, okay, well, it's got to be true then. Little did I know.
Yeah, isn't when you were talking about Lacey Green, I was reminded of, I think her name is it Dolores Underbridge? That's from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, Dolores Umbridge.
Yes, Dolores Umbridge. That's right. From Harry Potter, that's like super sweet and drinks tea and wears pink and looks like Jackie O, but she's probably like one of the worst people in that story. But you mentioned what it that watching Karen's videos is like one of the things that made you kind of like interested in creating video content. Would you say that it was her that was the catalyst, or like then to make you say, you know what, I'm gonna make videos?
Kind of partially, yeah. What first started me making videos was the Gamergate thing. My very first video was about Gamergate, and then my second video was me telling everybody, hey, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I used to be a feminist. Just get that out of the way so that it doesn't come up later and people be like, oh my God, she was a feminist in disguise this whole time. Ah! So got that out of the way immediately. But no, even after my first couple of videos, I was still kind of nervous about it. I still wasn't sure if I wanted to keep doing it or if I just wanted to, just leave those 2 videos and just kind of move on with my life. But then, I was listening to Karen one day, and she was kind of she just said, we women need to do this because, if a man speaks out against feminism, he's just shouted down and called a misogynist. But they can't do that to women. I mean, they can, but it won't do them any good because the shaming tactic doesn't work on women like it does on men. So it kind of felt like it was my responsibility at that point. It still does. It feels like it's my responsibility to do it. 1, because there's no threat to me for me to do it, and 2, well, men need us to do it, even if they don't. Even if some of them say that they don't. But yeah.
No, that's a really great point. That was actually one of my questions. You took the words right out of my mouth. When I was going to make the. We've already said that one of the reasons why channels like Honey Badger Radio and Karen's channel and some of the other women that are critical of feminism, Griffix, yourself, are absolutely necessary is because, well, when men make these criticisms, when men try to get their voices heard in terms of, issues that affect men and boys and the problems with feminist theory and feminist dogma, the fact that they are men automatically discredits them because people who are in this sort of feminist mindset, they play the identity politics game works in their, that's how they think. They look at everything in terms of identity politics and gender and so on. And this is one of the reasons why I think people like Milo can get so much ground, because Milo being a gay man, it makes it harder for people to attack his character based on his identity, and the only thing they can do is go after his ideas. And so and that's, I mean, that's basically the position that you're in as well. Like, essentially, when you make counter arguments, you do it based on the merit of the ideas themselves, and not the fact that where your plumbing is at, essentially.
Well, I mean, and feminists, they try to pull the identity politics thing on me. It doesn't work. I mean, I think it works for justifying it to themselves. Like they look at the things that I say and they just say, oh, you've got internalized misogyny, or oh, you're only doing this because you want the adoration of men, and it makes them feel better because they can reject what I've said based on that. But then, in the long run, it doesn't make a difference because they're not proving anything to anybody else besides themselves. So, but if a man says something, the feminists can be like, oh, look at this patriarchal shitlord. He's just trying to fight against, us because he's trying to maintain his privilege, and stuff like that. It's like, well, it works a little better because then other feminists listen to that and they're like, oh yeah. But
yeah. I noticed that in a short amount of time, your channel's grown quite a bit. You have like 15,000 subscribers now, I think.
16.
Huh?
Over 16 when I checked.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
over.
I haven't looked.
No, you're riding high on the hog. And do you think that? I mean, I know that you have really good videos, so it's that goes without saying because I've watched some. No, I watched a few, and I've seen them before, and I even watched a couple of the really old ones today to prepare for the show. And I do like them. They're honest, and they're really easy. Like you just refute the arguments, and but also considering the size, there's lots of people who make anti-feminist videos. Do you think that part of it could also be because you're a woman making these arguments that it gives you the same kind of advantage in a way? And I mean, like, because when, like, for example, obviously people like the Internet Aristocrat and Thunderfoot have gigantic channels, and they have lots and lots of subscribers. But going back to that whole, like, you're in a really great position to be able to be a woman that speaks out against feminism, which is sort of like what feminists would consider to be walking off the plantation. That gives you that, that advantage of being able to say, well, look, I have every reason to, if I wanted to, I could use this ideology to make myself a victim and beg for resources and essentially benefit from what they're doing. But the fact is, I don't like what they're doing because I'm not a child and I don't want to be treated this way. And I love men. I care about them, and I think that what this is destructive. So do you think that you being a woman has a lot to do with your channel being the size that it is?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I've never thought that. Well, I mean, I've never really had confidence in my own ideas ever. So, I guess that probably just comes from me being realistic. But yeah, from the very beginning, when I first saw my channel getting bigger, I was thinking, oh well, yeah, this has probably got to do with the fact that I've got a vagina and I'm saying these things. And I don't necessarily consider that a bad thing, but I definitely think that it has something to do with it because people are more likely to listen to a woman when she says things against feminism than they are a man. It's just a fact.
Yeah. And yeah, it's an unfortunate fact, but it is. I noticed that you have been using a honey badger mask in your profile pic, as well as one of your older ones also had a badger that was wearing this flower that is most often associated with you. How did you come to essentially? How do you come across the honey badgers, and how do you find that those that like? How do we get to that point? Sorry.
Well, probably gonna dredge up some icky memories for Allison here, but whenever you guys got thrown out of Calgary Expo, there was the little honey badger logo that people were putting on their Twitter avatars, and I took one of those and I stuck it like right in the center of that flower on my Twitter avatar, and then I have a friend from college. She loves to draw, and she said she drew me the picture with the badger wearing the flowers. She said she drew that for me because my Twitter avatar looked like it was a honey badger wearing my flower as a necklace. So she drew that for me, and I started using it as my YouTube background. And then I have another friend who has drawn two of my fan arts now. She drew the Christmas one, and she drew the one I'm using right now. She drew the one where the badger and the flower kind of in my hair as like a hair decoration. She drew that as kind of an homage to the old one with the badger wearing the flower.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Well, they're really well done. So tell your friend I said that they look nice.
I have a question. What inspired you to do this particular, or did you already cover that question, to create a YouTube channel?
Well, Gamergate initially, yeah. It was Gamergate initially because I was really upset about the whole Gamergate thing, and I just figured, okay, well, we need one more voice to add to the fray, so I'll go ahead and make a video about it, and then I kind of wanted to speak out against feminism too, so I made my second video talking about how I used to be a feminist and now I'm not a feminist anymore, and I thought that would help too. And then seeing all the other anti-feminist channels and hearing Karen talk about how it was kind of our responsibility to do it, I kind of got a little bit more confidence in myself, and yeah, it kind of just kind of exploded from there.
Did you realize that in 1 month and about 10 days it will be a year since Calgary Expo? It hasn't even been a year, but
Yeah.
it feels like it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
It's been less than a year since the events of Calgary Expo, and but that was just an observation I made. So the other thing is not to like get hung up on labels and stuff, because I don't personally like to use them, but just going there because there's lack of any other useful way to discuss it. Okay, so you said in college you were neck deep in feminism. You were all about it. You know, the professors and the community, and I'm likely the entire culture of college was totally feeding into it. And then you came across Thunderfoot, Internet Aristocrat, and Amazing Atheist, and that started to sort of shift your opinions, or at least broaden your view, and then you were challenging the ideas of feminism, and then you probably started seeing other anti-feminist YouTubers like Karen, which you mentioned. Would you like consider yourself to be, because we all, and again, I'm not just using labels for lack of a better term. Some people like the term egalitarian. Some people are anti-feminist. Some people are MRA. Where do your interests lie with this? Are you just happy fighting feminism, or you know, where do you see yourself in terms of those labels?
Well, the only label I'm comfortable with using is anti-feminism, because anti-feminist I most certainly am. I'm anti any harmful ideology, so I am perfectly fine with calling myself anti-feminist, anti-theist, you know, anti-bad ideologies in general. So I don't call myself an MRA, because one of the things that I get mad at feminism for is its use of a gendered term. So I can't very well call myself an MRA, or I'd be being a hypocrite. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we don't care. It doesn't matter. Because you know, it would be hypocritical to get hung up on the label and to make sure that other people adopt it. And I think that's one of the well, at least in my experience, is one of the benefits that I've seen coming from MRAs, is that they generally don't care if you identify as an MRA. They just care if you care about men's rights.
Which is great, because one of the things I hated, you know, I mean, I didn't realize I hated it at the time, but when I was in college, one of the things that I hated was all the labels that everybody wanted to stick on everybody. Like, everybody had to be labeled something. You had to be labeled, you know, straight. You had to be labeled gay. You had to be labeled lesbian. You had to be labeled something. You know, that there always had to be some kind of label stuck onto you for people to take you seriously. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was maddening. When I look back on it now, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was annoying.
Yeah.
Why did I ever buy into that crap? It was so annoying. And yeah, that's probably another reason why I kind of stay away from labels, just because they annoyed me so badly in college. I just wish I would have realized it while I was still in college.
No, I agree. I think that's actually it's basically a tool to silence discussion. People just throw the label around and then they use it to shut you up. So Allison, I only muted you because there was like construction or something going on your end of the channel, and it was making.
Well, it was actually a little strange. I guess it was using my default microphone, which is dumb because I had my Yeti plugged in, but that was my cat. My cats have been engaging in some interesting construction lately at our house. Just this morning, we heard this incredible thumping sound, like something had fallen from a great height and been destroyed. And then we looked at the hallway and we saw two cats skittering, just like they're going so fast, they were like hovering through down the hallway, shoo, and like things were like flapping in the wind after them. We're like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? So we went where they had just run from, and we found because we do like bath salt, or like we bathe in like baking soda and some salts and stuff sometimes because it's helpful for your muscles. The container that we had the baking salt in was in the tub, and it probably had fallen and rattled around in there, which is where the sound came from.
Oh man!
And it was like, but it was hilarious because we followed the cats back to where they and they were just completely scarce. They had made themselves scarce, completely scarce. We would go into the bedroom and we couldn't see hide nor hair of them. So it was pretty. They've been pretty active today. I think they're getting ready. They sense that spring may be around the corner. But yeah, there might be some cat destruction in the background here.
Yeah, some.
That's okay.
I
have 4 cats too. I understand.
All right, so I already. You know what? I was gonna talk about labels, and I can't remember what I was gonna say because of cats. So
that's okay.
Let's maybe it'll come back to me. I'll what we're gonna do now is we're gonna dive into this fantastic, well-researched, and totally not sexist article called "What is mascupathy?"
Mascupathy.
Mascupathy?
Mascupathy.
Mascupathy.
Something like that. I don't even
So
know.
awkward.
So when you make up new words, which, by the way, feminists and social justice warriors' favorite thing to do is making up new words because they think the power of words is how you change the world. So we got a new word, mascupathy or mascupathy. I don't know.
However you say it, I don't even
Okay,
know.
can I just point something out before we get into this?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how every word that they make that references men, or masculinity, or fatherhood, describes something negative?
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yet feminism is everything positive in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what it is, but yet they turn around and they say, no, we don't hate men. We just think they're responsible for everything negative, and their innate natures are negative, and yeah.
Well, I think this mascupathy thing proves beyond a reasonable doubt that, hatred of men is definitely a thing.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. I'm going to read from the mascupathy, or I'm going to call it mascupathy, or mascupathy. I don't know.
I don't care. Say it however you want.
Yeah.
It's dumb either way.
Maybe share screen while you're doing that.
Sure. I'll share screens. All right, let's do this.
Shall I give you some Jeopardy music in my off-key singing?
Well, I've already done it, so I've gotten pretty good at sharing screens. By the way, as an aside, I don't know if you noticed, but I was on the show yesterday for the entire time, and I did not get kicked out by Google.
Yay!
And really good today, and I haven't been kicked out by Google, and I think I know. I figured it out. It actually had to do with my internet. So it seems fine now. I think it has, but we'll see. Maybe I just jinxed myself. All right, so let's get into the article. What is mascupathy?
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pronounce it different every time I read it. That's how it's gonna be. Men often behave badly. Some are grandiose and aggressive. Many others are worthy and admirable, but often emotionally absent and relationally disappointing.
What?
What?
Can we just do this line by line?
Yeah, let's do it line by line.
Yeah, as if those are solely masculine things. Like only men are that way.
Well, I mean, I could translate. See, men are often shit. Some are shit. Many others are also shit, but often emotionally shit and relationally shit. I mean, that's what it says, really, right?
You're going to use a fancy word to justify my bigotry.
Yeah.
This is like phrenology all over again.
Yeah, this to me, it looks like the beginning of male eugenics.
Well, yeah, this may be this is the beginning of the final solution.
Well, think about it. Homosexuality was once considered a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, even heterosexuality was considered a mental illness because it was seen as being attracted to women other than your wife. Which is interesting, but regardless, a lot of things like let's just stick with the homosexuality because that the other idea lost favor, but that one stuck. And we even thought that slaves running away was a mental illness. They had a word for slaves being mentally ill because they wanted to be free. And now we have a word that says that basically masculinity is a mental illness. Oh wow! Well, this is inheriting a lovely history of making aspects of normal human behavior into mental illnesses. But
now imagine femipathy. How well would that go?
Well, we wouldn't. Well, I mean, even
we already have a word for that. It's called feminism.
Yeah.
Zing.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the next statement. Virtually all men struggle to some degree with mascupathy, a pathology of masculinity which erodes balance and healthy humanity.
Okay.
Pathology of masculinity. That's disgusting.
Virtually
just saying that
men.
out loud. Saying that out loud just puts a bad taste in my mouth. A pathology of masculinity. That's ugh.
Pathology of masculinity. Now, if they were willing to balance this with a pathology of femininity, maybe they'd have something like, you know, you can take masculinity and you can go too far with it, or you can take femininity and you can go too far with it, or really what you can take is the idea of being an agent and going too far with it, and being a patient and going too far with it, which aren't necessarily as tied to masculinity and femininity as we'd like to believe. But this is so one-sided. Because they are making masculinity out to be pathological and in opposition to humanity. Like, what?
Even though it's the exact opposite. You know, if we didn't have masculinity, we'd still be living in freaking grass huts. Those freaking stupid matriarchies overseas prove that. All those freaking societies that are ruled only by women, they're still living in grass huts. But, you know, masculinity, oh no, masculinity is the downfall of society. No.
Yeah.
All right, I just have some contextual questions. How is this like? What is this? Where is this coming from? Who's? Oh, they have male therapy.
It's the Institute for the Prevention and Treatment of Mascupathy.
Yeah, and look at that thing at the top there, reinventing men, as if they're broken and need to be taken apart and put back together.
Who is behind this? Before we go any further, I want to know who's behind this. There's a contact page.
There's links down at the bottom that show like, well, I don't know if it's on this page, but on the home page there's like links down at the bottom.
You can buy this book for like $15 if you want to learn about how much you suck. I heard through the grapevine, through some people, that this
about the Institute.
The
there
people
you go.
who put this together. Where is it? Oh, where is it?
About the Institute.
Yeah, right there at the bottom. About the Institute. Who are these people?
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
The mission statement of the mission of the Institute.
We don't need their fucking mission statement. Who are these people?
All
we
right,
don't need their ground principles. We don't need the objectives.
Membership.
Okay, so they have absolutely no indication of who these people are.
I don't see anything.
Well, there's like research and whatnot on the homepage at the very bottom
Go back up. Go back up a bit more. Support for programs such as the groundbreaking Center for the Study of Men and Masculinity at Stony Brook University in New York.
Oh.
As well as activities such as Voicemail Magazine.
Voicemail Magazine. What even is that?
All right, let's find out.
I don't even know.
Oh my fucking... What the... So this is connected to a goddamn university. Oh, but patriarchy is institutional.
Voicemail.
Male positive, pro-feminist. Look at that.
Yeah.
Male positive. Yeah, fucking right.
Pro-feminist. Okay, well, we know these people are feminists now.
Who's surprised? I'm not surprised by that.
Hi, Bernie.
Right at the top. And let's see.
Reproductive health and rights are under attack. Really?
Yep. Men's role.
Men suddenly had reproductive rights.
Men's role in ending AIDS.
Yes.
What?
Well,
Why?
Go to the about. Go to the about.
Okay. Men are AIDS, just so you know. Voicemail chronicles here's the advisory board. Juan Carlos Arian.
Seeing if there's any names I recognize, but
filmmaker. Let's see, playwright Eve Ensler.
Oh
Eve
my
Ensler,
fucking
vagina
God.
monologues. That bitch is everywhere.
Yeah, she's even in Little Girl Snatches, probably.
Oh man. Burn.
Jackson Cats, oh great. Michael Kimmel. Holy
Michael Kimmel.
fuck.
Yeah.
This is like the rogues gallery of people who hate men. Why don't you just cut your penis off, Michael, and just get it over with?
Let's see.
No, there's nobody else that I recognize.
No.
Nope.
I see a lot of people who write for feminism and stuff. So Voicemail magazine is everything. It's not male at all, basically.
So
I mean,
these
there's nothing.
mascupathy people we know for a fact are connected to a bunch of feminists, which surprises no one, I'm sure.
Stony Brook
Stony Brook
University.
University.
I'm looking at it now. Women in hijabs. Dodo birds were not stupid. What? Why is that? Why is that important? If they weren't stupid, then why are they extinct? Okay. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's a college. I don't know what else to tell you. It's an American college. That's all you need to know.
Well, yeah, and on the homepage of that mascupathy website, there's like a whole bunch of research down at the bottom. Research. I use research.
Actually, what is interesting is I believe that Stony Brook University is the place where Naomi Wolf has I think tenure. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm gonna double check something because I'm pretty sure we also have some material from some of the stuff that they give to freshmen there. I'm just going to.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Do I even want to know what they give to freshmen?
Yes. In-depth review of feminist indoctrination at Stony Brook University. So we have. We got some of that material, but nobody ever did a review of it. But we have links to it when we're waiting to just analyze it. It's hours and hours of material that they put people through.
Ugh.
I know it's like this is what men actually see this shit and get drawn into it.
The same kind of people who are easily indoctrinated into Christianity. I mean,
well, I mean, like, I would like to offer up an option. If you live in a country where the rate of men that are being raised by single mothers is somewhere between 60 and 80%, and then those boys grow up without fathers and without male role models to help them understand what it means to be male, and then they go through our academic system and our media, and they're told that entire time that there's something wrong with them just because they are men, and none of their caregivers really understand them, and then they go to university and they continue to hear the same stuff. It would make sense that they would feel the need to try to alleviate themselves of their guilt and of their own apparent internalized psychopathy by trying to fix it. I mean, that's what I think.
It works almost the same way as a religion. You convince people that there's something wrong with them, and then you offer the only solution. Because that's pretty much what Christianity did to me. Because they were like, you're a sinner and you're gonna go to hell, and the only way you can avoid this is if you are saved and accept God as your Lord and Savior. Blah blah blah.
And if a few of those boys, by the way, end up so frustrated and so misunderstood and upset and depressed because of all the poor care they've gotten, and they slip through the cracks and they commit some crime, or they do something like go on a mass shooting or something.
20 times more often they'll just kill themselves, of course.
Yeah, most of the time they'll just kill themselves. But if they do, no one really talks about it. But if they hurt someone else in their rage, then the same people who are doing this to men will point at them and say, "This is why we need to keep doing this to men."
Yeah.
There is no toxic masculinity. Period. The entire concept is just disgusting. What there is a toxic way we treat men and boys. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
So, shall I read the next sentence?
Yeah, go ahead.
This has just gotten a lot more sinister because it's attached to Stony Brook, and New York as a city has come up recently in our own investigations. I'm not going to get into that, but that's getting a little bit suspicious too.
Oh yeah, no, there's totally shit going on, and we're gonna blow it all up next week probably or something pretty soon. But without getting into it too much. All right, so the Institute for the Prevention and Treatment of Mascupathy provides education to help boys avoid mascupathy, therapy for men to recover, and advocacy for a more egalitarian society. And yes.
I can't.
All right, so what is mascupathy? Mascupathy is a mental health disorder, a pathology of masculinity, stemming from a socialized exaggeration of genetic masculine traits, aggression and invulnerability, and a reduction of inherent feminine characteristics, such as openness and sensitivity.
You gotta be kidding me! Just laying it right out there, laying it right out black and white. Man bad, woman good.
Oh my god, it's so stupid. Sensitivity is a feminine characteristic, is it? Only feminine. Masculine people can't be sensitive. Oh, no. It's like, really? This is so stupid.
Yeah.
Socialized exaggeration. What? Aggression and invulnerability are exaggerated? In what way? Openness and sensitivity are downplayed? In what way? Forgive me, but citation needed.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Well.
And who's doing the socialization?
Well, I mean, if boys are mostly raised by single mothers, then who are we supposed to be blaming here?
Well, they're not just raised by single mothers.
Let me go really, really, really offensive. Niggeropathy is a mental disorder, a pathology of niggerism, stemming from a socialized exaggeration of genetic nigger traits, aggression and invulnerability, and a reduction of inherent white characteristics, openness and sensitivity.
Yeah.
This is right out of a fucking early 1800s goddamn mental health manual on why those niggers try to run away.
Mm-hmm.
This is bullshit.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Well, I was just to add to what Ceara's saying. They're not just raised by single mothers in most cases, but they go right into child care, like daycare centers and education, where they are raised primarily, like from the earliest stages of their life, by women. They're surrounded by women for most of their developmental years, not just by mothers, but the teachers, the caregivers, the pediatricians, the nurses, and well into beyond high school. They don't really start running into men unless they get into sports. And by that time, they're a lot of the shit that they're going to learn from, a lot of their values, they've already been sort of embedded, and it's going to be harder to shake that off. So if we even go along with the logic that this shit is socialized, it's women that are doing it. And I wouldn't buy the fact that it's completely socialized, but if we're going to go there, I mean.
Yeah, that's what these people aren't taking into account. I mean, if you're going to blame society for these things being exaggerated or downplayed, then you have to blame the people who are mostly responsible for raising the children, which is women. So we should just call this whole page Femipathy and teach women how to not be dicks to boys.
Yeah.
No. But this is actually brilliant in a really sadistic way. This is brilliant because, I think the people who made this are probably aware of how boys are brought up to hate themselves, and by making masculinity look like some kind of mental illness or something, they'd be like, oh yeah, you've been raised and you've been raised this way your entire life. You understand that that you were just born wrong. Here, we're going to help you fix it. You know, it's brilliant. It's disgusting, but it's brilliant. I think they know what they're doing here.
Well, I mean, if you're a boy and you're being raised primarily, you're basically defined by all around you, the adults are women. The fundamental person who determines whether or not you survive is a woman. I mean, that's an incredible psychological power. And in response, you may feel inadequate, you may feel ashamed, you may feel less than, and I think they're exploiting that.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally exploiting an aspect of male psychology that may have existed just because women are the ones who raise children primarily, at least in unhealthy societies. But they're exploiting that in order this is like an engine of exploitation of men. That's anyway. Let's get to the next.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's read the next part.
All right, let's do this.
Puke some more.
The symptomology, inadequate self-awareness and governance, emotional numbness and instability, as well as relational ineptness, instability, again, and withdrawal, results in deficient intimate partnerships and parenting, excessive competition and one-upmanship, and violence against women and others.
Oh, I love how women comes first. Like, oh yeah, women are more important than the others. You're gonna hurt women if you keep acting this way. See, that's even more manipulation right there, because they understand that men like feel compelled to protect women. So when you put women, like, you're gonna hurt women if you act this way. Well, Jesus. But inadequate self-awareness and governance, emotional numbness and instability, relational ineptness, those are all symptoms of freaking psychopathy, like of being a psychopath. This isn't these aren't male.
Well, they're trying
these aren't male traits.
No, they're trying to draw lines between valuable male. I wouldn't even say that they're male traits per se, but traits that males often display, like stoicism, for example, which I think is completely, like, it has value, you know, but they're trying to say, well, why aren't you, feeling? What's wrong with you? Like, when a man is being stoic because he has to essentially put his big boy pants on and get the job done and stop whining, they think that there's something wrong with him for that. And that's, but they'll call it emotional numbness, like fucking Private Pyle from Full Metal Jacket is essentially every man ever, when
okay. Private Pyle. I wanted to add something. To understand this, I think you have to. Again, I'm going to use that analogy, that example from history where they had a word for the psychological disorder in which black people wanted to run away from slavery. Now, just imagine what the society would be like to think that wanting to get out of being a slave is a psychological disorder. That society would be so centered around the idea that black people serve white people, that black people be defined and judged by white society. So centered around that a basic human urge of autonomy and freedom becomes becomes a psychological illness. Because black people are supposed to want to serve white people. They're supposed to want to protect white people. They're supposed to want to emulate white people. They're supposed to want to see white people as having superior emotional lives, superior spirituality. This is exactly the same attitude, except with women as white people and men as black people. Men exist only in relation to white people, or sorry, women. How they serve women. How they see women as having a superior emotional, mental, spiritual nature. This is that exact same attitude, and they can advance this shit because they literally cannot imagine a world where men have the right to self-determination, freedom, and autonomy, and do not have to be judged by women's standard. Just like we couldn't, 200 years ago, we couldn't imagine a world in which the slave wasn't judged by the desires of the mistress. Or wasn't judged by the desires, the protection and provision of the mistress. We couldn't imagine a world. It makes so much sense that we would have words for slaves who don't want to work, or slaves who run away, or slaves who are uppity and don't think that their mistress is their moral and emotional and spiritual superior. We'd all have these words that describe these mental illnesses in slaves, because we define slaves by their mistress, and we define men by their service to women. And this is the reality that these people live in.
Ugh.
All right. Let's get through this.
Yeah, we're trying.
I know. There's a lot here to unpack.
Man.
It's just crazy that it's blatant. It's coming from university. It's coming from, mainstream spaces, and everyone, they don't just tolerate it. They don't just say, well, that's pretty bigoted, but I guess, it's fine, like freedom of speech or whatever. They don't just do that. They're actually saying, no, I get it. Yeah, I see that. I can see it. Men, they're shit.
Is totally
I can see that.
This is totally
we might need to, we might need to address this. Let's get you want to? You got anything going on tonight? Let's smear ourselves in period blood and see if we can get people to take notice of this.
See, but look at excessive competition. Excessive competition and one-upmanship, as if competition and one-upmanship are also bad things, because it's like, oh, all these things result in these things, and like deficient intimate partnerships and violence against women, those are both considered bad things, and then you shove a competition and one-upmanship in the middle of it and make it seem like competition and one-upmanship are bad things. It's like, if men hadn't spent the entirety of history trying to one-up each other, we wouldn't have a great society. We wouldn't have all this great architecture that we have now. We wouldn't have any of it, because everyone would just be sitting there like, oh well, that's okay. I've got this. I don't need to have more than him. It's fine. But painting that as a bad thing, you're basically painting the advancement of society as a bad thing. When you say competition and one-upmanship are bad,
Let's get to the next sentence.
No, let's do it.
Since the bar for acceptable manliness is set almost impossibly high by women, maybe?
Yeah, who's setting this?
No, guys. Men are setting the bar for manliness on impossibly high. Men are doing it because why would
Allison can't even. Yeah, can't even right now.
That was a clean even moment. Okay, so since the bar for acceptable manliness is set almost impossibly high, most men externalize or act out their shame from the trauma of manhood in externalizing behavior, excessive substance use, escaping through their work, engaging in high-risk activities, and/or preoccupation with sex.
Notice some things that are missing. Suicide. Homelessness.
Yeah, but no, they're blaming excessive substance use, escaping through their work, engaging in these high-risk activities, blah, blah, blah. They're blaming all that on the bar for manliness being too high. They're not thinking, oh, well, maybe us trying to force men to deny who they are is what's causing this. No. It can't be us. It's got to be that they're trying too hard to be manly, so they're feeling ashamed.
Well, what's interesting is they are setting the bar. They are setting a bar for behavior in men. And if they think that the manliness bar is set too high and men have an advantage, and they've admitted that men have an advantage biologically in actually achieving the manliness bar because of the fact that they're male, what the fuck is going to happen when they set this femininity bar? And men have no advantage in achieving it at all. It's like they're saying, oh, look at this high bar. Look at this high bar that men have to jump over, and it's like the usual Olympic high bar, and they're like, wow, that's like really excessive. That's totally like you're really asking a lot of men to jump over this high bar. Well, why don't we get them to jump over this jumbo fucking jet in the sky? Let's set that as the bar. Although that'll be much more healthy for men, because then they'll be more feminine, even though we've already admitted that it's harder for men to achieve that than women. So let's set a completely different bar that's even higher and more onerous and more difficult and more shaming of men's own nature than this other bar. And that'll solve the fact that men find jumping over bars onerous, shameful, and traumatic. Jesus fucking... No, let's not let's get rid of the Olympic high bar. Let's get them to jump let's get them to jump the Capitol building in New York. What the hell is that called? Empire State Building. Let's get them to jump that instead.
Yeah. In a single bound, please. So I want to examine this. Okay, so the person who wrote this writes, since the bar for acceptable manliness is set almost impossibly high, most men externalize their shame from the trauma of manhood in externalizing behavior. First off, whoever wrote this needs a thesaurus, because when you use the same word twice in the same sentence, it just seems awkward. But that's beside the point. They do not explain what they mean by setting the bar for acceptable manliness too high or impossibly high. I don't know what that means. I don't know if this person knows what manliness is in the first place. And the reason why is because they're just making an assertion. They're just saying it's hard. The bar for being a man is too high. It's impossible. And I mean, what it seems to me is that this person, if this person is male, they may have trouble trying to meet some standard that they may not actually be aware of, because being a man is actually a lot easier than feminists would have you believe it is. And I think that they have a problem with male behavior just as a standard. Second of all, if there is an impossibly high bar that is being set, it is likely being set by women, because most, if not all, heterosexual men's, well, I wouldn't say all, I'll say most heterosexual men's ultimate goals are often centered around finding a woman. So what they're doing is because they want to pass their genes on. They want to find someone, fall in love, have kids, start a family. I strongly believe that that's what most people want to do. If that is toxic masculine behavior, then you're directing that at the wrong people. But I think that it really is a lot. It's just these people don't understand men. They don't understand manliness.
I think they do. I think what they want to do is control it. It's like saying that farmers don't understand horses. Well, yeah, they understand horses. They understand horses all too well. What they aren't interested in is natural horse behavior. They don't want to respect it. They don't want to allow it. They want to harness it, and they want to crush it. These people understand men, but they want a particular goal out of that, and that is control. And what I wanted to point out in all of this is the fact that men are stoic is not toxic. The fact that men want to achieve big things, they want to protect people, they want to provide for people, this is not toxic. The one thing that could possibly be seen as toxic isn't even something that men do. It's the fact that society will not recognize men's vulnerabilities and will not help them when they are in a situation beyond their control or being traumatized, that we will not recognize a man who is in need. You can say that there's all kinds of hurdles and high jumps that men have to go over, high expectations. None of that matters. The only thing that is problematic, to use their phrase, is the fact that society will not allow that men have any kind of vulnerability, much less actually think that we should do something about it. We should take care. And these individuals are a part of that bullshit. They're a part of that problem. Because despite how they're talking about how manliness is traumatic, which is interesting because if the very nature of men's gender role causes them shame and trauma, doesn't that mean they have a severe lack of privilege?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Relative to women? I mean, I'm sure they'll say that the women's gender role causes them shame and trauma, but women don't really have to live up to femininity. They don't have to really do anything, except maybe look pretty. But it's like all of this can come down to one thing. The one thing. It doesn't matter if men want to say, let's climb this mountain, and when we're there, we'll feel very manly. that's fucking irrelevant. Let's accomplish this thing. Let's invent this thing. Let's hold ourselves to a high standard. That is not the problem. The problem is not being able to be seen when you're vulnerable. And unless these people are actually acknowledging men's vulnerabilities and not blaming them for it, they're not doing a damn thing.
And they're not doing that. And they're not doing that. They're blaming all of men's problems on men. They're blaming the victim, essentially. Like, oh, well, you're only traumatized because you're a man, so you just need to stop being manly. You know, that it's all your fault. If you just stop trying to be such a manly person, you wouldn't be so miserable.
Yeah,
it's like,
if you be manly.
Really?
If you stop being stoic, you'll get unraped. If you stop being stoic, you'll get your kids back. And you stop being stoic, that if you just stop being stoic, that knife your wife shoved between your ribs, that'll stop hurting. Jesus fucking Christ! If you just stop being manly, everything in your life will just get better. Right.
Yeah.
No, this makes no sense except as a way to shame men into being controlled. All of these people, that's all they want. They're just farmers who are practicing animal husbandry against men.
Maybe that's why they call it husbandry.
Yeah.
I asked the chat for shits and giggles what some examples of manly behavior, because personally I love being a man. I love it. I love being manly, and I like manly things. And I hate when those things get shamed by feminists. I think that it is incredibly destructive, and it just shows that they don't understand what men not only enjoy, but what they value. And yeah, on top of not recognizing the times when men are vulnerable. So I thought I would ask the chat what manly behavior, or some examples of manly behavior are, and I want to read some of them. Manipulating your environment. I think, yeah, but being in control of your environment. That's one. Having a testicle or two. Well, that's good.
Testicles are
some
nice.
of these are funny, but I thought I'd read them anyway. Manliness is drinking beer and checking out the hot waitress. Opening pickle jars and walking on the moon. I would say, why not both? Opening pickle jars while walking on the moon. Let me see. Building things. Self-control. Just being an adult human. Taking responsibility for one's actions.
That right there. That is the best one, I think, because, you know, there's so much that goes on in our society. From the time little girls are small until they grow up, everyone just makes excuses for them all the time. Whenever a guy would pick on me in school, the teachers would, you know, tell him to behave. When a girl would pick on me, they wouldn't do anything. And it would, and everybody would always come up with some kind of excuse as to why she's doing it, and it goes on and on until the women grow up to the point where a woman can commit a terrible crime, and then everyone will still sit there and try to make excuses for why she did it. Like, I watched what was it? Oh, I can't remember. It was some documentary about a woman who wound up stabbing her husband because of some kind of dispute they were having. And the freaking documentary was being so sympathetic to this woman, being like, oh, well, she was stressed out, and it's so sad, and she had these mental problems, and blah blah blah. And then then they were talking about how sad it was that she was arrested and that she won't get to see her daughter anymore. And I'm just sitting there like, if this was reversed, if this was a man who stabbed his wife, nobody would be sympathetic to this guy. Nobody would be making excuses for this guy. And men are expected their entire lives to take responsibility for their actions, but it's so often women aren't. Everyone, like, excuses get made for women. Oh, she drowned her kids because Satan was talking to her. You know, come on.
Well, Satan is a man, so I could see it. You know,
it wouldn't fly if it was a man
Satan
who drowned
was the first
his kids.
shiplord.
A man murders somebody, they just say, oh, he's just an asshole. He's just a terrible person. A woman murders someone, everyone wants to know why. Why'd she do it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I totally admit everything of this situation that hurts men, but, and here's the but, this isn't, like, this is essentially saying that women occupy a role, a particular role in our society. This is more about these people wanting women to be part of this particular role rather than being fully recognized as human beings, including the consequences of their actions. Mm-hmm. So it's erasing, in some ways it's erasing. Now, psychopathic women really get a field day out of this. But if you're not, and you manage to be, let's set the bar low. You manage to be a woman and get in a pissy argument with your husband, and you don't actually fucking stab him. You actually deal with your emotions, and you don't go there. You aren't considered any more morally better than a woman who did stab him. Think about that.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, you might be considered less morally. In their bizarre fucking analysis. Because for whatever reason you're not standing up to the man or some shit. Or you got internalized misogynies. Or you're accepting his abuse without fighting back. Just because you're just you're just recognizing that you're two human beings with a stupid argument. For example, like how much coffee should be drank in a day? Like just some stupid thing.
As much as I want.
Yeah.
Now go pour me a pot of coffee, bitch. No.
There are some of the stupidest arguments. You can just be like, okay, this doesn't need to escalate any further. Are you having a bad day? Do you have a headache? Is there something wrong? You could do something like that, but you're not considered more moral for saying, you know what? Let's step off this merry-go-round. As a woman, let's step off this merry-go-round. Let's just relax. Let's settle things down. Let things breathe. And no, you're not considered more moral for engaging in that kind of emotional management of yourself than if you just pick up a knife and stab someone over using too much fucking coffee beans. Like.
That was great. Using too much coffee beans. Sorry, I'm easily amused.
It's okay. No. That's cool. Let's move on. Another thing that I think is that people may have not looked at is men. I think another manly trait that I really like is honor and cooperation. I think that's something that men are really good at, and it's where they shine. I mean, look at how all the shit that we have. That was how it was built, Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're almost done here. Although mascupathy interferes more in some men than others, it is nevertheless a plague on all of our houses.
Plague on our house.
Yeah, and that's an absolute. Every single house in the world has a problem with mascupathy. Every single house in the world has a problem with masculinity being taken too far.
Yep. Even whorehouses that are basically run and operated by women suffers from mascupathy because occasionally dicks go in there.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if there's even the smallest dick in that house, there's going to be mascupathy because even baby boys are toxic, don't you know?
Mm-hmm.
Could we use? Does this maybe have a silent S? Like, could it be macupathy?
It could be.
Or maybe a silent C. Mascupathy.
Mascupathy.
Mascupathy. That's good.
That sounds like a Japanese guy said it, or those like fish dudes from the Phantom Menace.
Oh, maybe it has a silent M. Like we could go ascupathy.
That sounds right.
Ascupathy.
You saw a mascupathy this time.
Oh.
Or maybe a silent T. Mascapathy. No, mascathy. Mascathy. Or maybe it's silent T. Mascupathy.
So yeah.
God,
this is the stupidest. Like these people should feel bad for trying to create this word. And this needs to be a Poe. I hope this is a Poe.
Oh, they're selling a book and everything.
Yeah, it would. It's if it is a Poe, it's a very, very convincing Poe.
I mean, like, I'm so used to the kind of hatred that not just men, but just masculinity in general gets, that nothing surprises me at this point. Nothing.
Here's another pronunciation. Mascu-pathy. 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 By M. Wedja. Mascu-pathy.
God. Mascupathy just sounds like, I don't know, like the name of a software company that makes, I don't know.
How about my ass you see?
The mascupathy video player.
My ass you see. My ass you see. Yes, we see your asses, whoever's responsible for this bullshit.
So, while not included in the American Psychiatric Association's compilation of disorders, because it's so common that it seems normal, that's just the way guys are, mascupathy is far and away the most destructive pathology in relationships and society today. What the fuck am I reading?
You're reading, yeah, that is the exact same freaking argument that they use for privilege. It's like, oh, well, you can't see privilege because it's so normal, it's invisible. This isn't a psychiatric disorder because it's so common, it's invisible.
Essentially, this right here, the mascupathy is the devil. It's everywhere. It's ever present. It's all-knowing, and it's a constant fight. But the difference is that only men are affected and tempted by it. Apparently, this is why feminism is a religion. I'm calling it now. It's a fucking religion. It's a cult. It's obvious. If you guys don't see this, you're not paying attention. If you who are like staunch anti-theists that still believe in feminism, you have not actually abandoned religion. You have only traded it up for something that is far worse. Because the government can actually... No, it is. It's far worse because unlike the church, the government acts on feminist dogma and they follow... They pass laws and acts and policy and they arrest people and they kill people and they throw men in prison over the same shit. Over this. It's a cult. And I mean, no one is fights. It's a church. The Church of Feminism.
This is the movement towards making normal male behaviors criminal. And the government, tyrannies love this idea that men are in sin or men are criminal or they should be able to intervene and do whatever the fuck they want to save men's souls. Because that's something that supports absolute power.
Matt, they say mascupathy is in the gaps. That's why you can't see it. The Earth is only 6,000 years old, but the first man raped a woman, and he basically started the trend. That's how come the race is here, according to what's her nuts. It's a cult. This is fucking ridiculous. If like the Westboro Baptist Church wrote an article like this about gay people, and they say, well, homeopathy is while not included in the American Psychiatric Association of compilation of disorders because it's so common, because that's just the way it is, being homo is far and away the most destructive pathology in relationships in society today. If they wrote that, nobody would consider that to be a viable thing. They would clearly denounce it. It would not be something that Stony Brook University would fucking back up. You would not hear about it on any website because no one would give it the time of day. But change it to
Brian,
and everything's okay.
You're giving Westboro far too much credit. They wouldn't call it homeopathy. They'd call it fagopathy.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Be careful. Jesse is watching, the Facebook guy. He's watching us. Use the word fag.
Yeah, we're the fucking problem here. We're the fucking problem here. We have absolutely no antipathy towards any particular group except those who engage in this an ideology in which shit like this ends up making sense to them, or alternatively sharing. You know what? I don't even care. You want to call yourself a feminist? That's fine. and you actually genuinely do not reduce women down to victims in every single circumstance, fine, go ahead and do that. But this is what you're supporting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're letting people who believe this nonsense use you as a shield. That's
Because they can genuinely say not all feminists are like that. But if you left, the only ones left would be the feminists who are doing this shit. And they couldn't actually say not all feminists. And the funny thing is that I have yet to meet a feminist who actually doesn't reduce women down to victims in every conceivable circumstance and somehow works it out so that men are responsible. I haven't seen that. Like that's like the foundational concept of feminism, which is really funny because that's the foundational concept of gender roles. The idea that men act and women are acted upon. So
I wanted to just make a correction. When I said the Facebook guy, I meant Mark Zuckerberg, but I got my Jews confused because he was in the Social Network. I think there was a guy named I don't know, another Berg that played him, and I'm sorry, that's just a mistake.
That's
I'm not
okay.
good with the Jew names. It's I'm okay with them. They're fine. We get along, but. Just don't remember your name.
Well, it doesn't actually. You know what? Feminism is almost like a red herring. The real problem is that
the Jews?
No, not the Jews.
The Illuminati?
No, it's the fucking Mexicans, Brian. All right, the real.
Really?
The real problem. He's not even Mexican, so it's like.
No, I'm Puerto Rican, but it's fine. I got it.
But no, the real problem is okay.
Puerto Ricans are just shipwrecked Mexicans anyway.
The real problem is just that dynamic, that we have this tendency to reduce women to how they're acted upon by men. We define women's identities in terms of how they're acted upon by men. Feminism is just an offshoot of that. Unless we actually challenge that behavior and recognize it as something that's probably pretty destructive, we will never actually get any further. Feminism is, you could call it womanism or cuntinism. Or snatchinism, or snatchinology, or whatever. It's just a manifestation of that dynamic. And maybe there is a biological basis, but there's also a biological basis of dying from the plague. And we don't do that. We try not to do that anymore, too. No? All right.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. I just had to say that out.
Oh my God. All right. The presence of mascupathic disorder causes impairment in 4 domains of human functioning.
Oh God.
Oof. All right.
I'm scared.
Here we go. First, weak self-concept. A pattern of poor or distorted sense of self, excessive grandiosity or inadequacy, excessive emphasis on self-presentation, and or incongruence between thoughts and feelings and behavior. This results in an impulsive and erratic behavior or withdrawal and insularity.
Okay, but this is not unique to men.
No, that right there is just the textbook definition of narcissism.
Isn't that's crazy ass projection, isn't it?
And possibly also borderline personality disorder.
Yeah, excessive grandiosity, excessive emphasis on self-presentation. That's narcissism. Thinking you're the center of the damn universe. I mean that's basically what that is. It's saying you either think you're the center of the damn universe or you're like or you don't think very much of yourself. That's basically what they're saying. And neither one of those are strictly male.
Well,
freaking hell, I've met so many female narcissists in my life. It's not even funny.
Okay. Well, it's like excessive emphasis on self-presentation. You're saying this about the gender that doesn't have a several $billion industry for clothing, makeup. And it's like, what? Okay, all right. Incongruence between thoughts, feelings, and behavior. So you're saying this about the gender that never coined the term frenemies. Frenemies, enemies who are friends, or are you pretending that you're friendly with them? They never coined that term.
Mm-hmm.
Results in impulsive and erratic behavior, withdrawal, and insularity. They're attributing that to the gender that doesn't often act solely on their emotions. which one of the genders is often asked, are you PMSing because they're acting too much like crazy people? That's not men.
All right, let's see how they're actually talking about femupathy in this, not mascupathy.
It's actually you can literally read it as it is and apply it to women.
Either one,
pattern
yeah.
of poor or distorted sense of self, excessive grandiosity or inadequacy, excessive emphasis on self-presentation, and or incongruence between thoughts, feelings, and behavior. That results in an impulsive and erratic behavior or withdrawal and insularity.
Which just proves that this is nothing more than man-hating, because they're taking something that can't be applied to only one gender and applying it to one gender. Mm-hmm. As a way of making men look bad. This is man-hating 101.
I think a lot of this applies more to women than men.
Allison, hold me.
Okay.
All right, let's read the next one. Inadequate emotionality, persistent difficulty with experiencing, naming, managing, expressing, and governing feelings. This leads to behavioral instability and shallow and or conflictual relationships. Behavioral instability. Shallow and or conflictual relationships.
You know what? I just want to get this out. Actually, in the difficulty with experiencing, that's actually something that they found with people who are subject to genital mutilation. So before we start blaming men for mascupathy, why don't we stop cutting into their genitals when they're 2 days old?
Yeah, that would be good.
That might be a good idea.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Because this is something that, I've seen that guys can have problems identifying their emotions. I don't think they have that much problem in managing it, and problems expressing and governing feelings. But that's often because they're held to a standard of invulnerability. That that society will not acknowledge. And this is like this. I'm trying to get a way of saying how what we're looking at right now is an exact expression of the fact that society will not accept male vulnerability. Because they are actually blaming society's expectation on men, right here.
Yep.
Well. But you also have to think that they think that society is run by men. I mean, so in their minds, they're right to blame men because they think we live in a patriarchy where men rule everything. So if men rule everything, it stands to reason that men should be blamed for men's problems. But they don't realize that they're wrong about patriarchy. So, but as long as they keep believing patriarchy is a thing, they can keep justifying the stupid opinion that they've got here. So. It's just it just feeds itself. The whole ideology feeds itself.
All right, I'm going to go to the next one. The 4 pillars of mascupathy. Pillar number 3, relational deficits, a pervasive pattern of interpersonal controlling, neediness, distancing, and or aggressive behaviors. This results in reduced capacity to establish and maintain satisfying, intimate, stable, and enduring relationships.
Controlling, needy. Okay.
This is like, I'm
Sex
seriously.
Is divorcing the most?
I mean, like, we're just. Oh my God. How is this masculine behavior, like specifically?
Okay, what's the joke with what babe? Sorry, it's my husband.
No, feminists are not funny. They are anti-funny. There's no joke.
I mean, okay. Have a good day, babe.
Thank you. I will.
No, there's what's the joke in all of those in all of these romantic comedies where the girl gets jealous because she sees like a text from some other girl on her boyfriend's phone or whatever, and then she's all like, "Oh, I want to see your phone. I want to see your phone." That's being controlling and needy, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not gendered.
Come on. This is so bad.
Well, yeah, but they're essentially saying that traits that women evince, like negative human traits, are just masculine traits.
Yep.
That's it. They're just literally taking all of the negative aspects of being a human being and just saying only men do this, and women are only subject to this. Like, it's yeah. They're afraid of something.
I hate the universe right now.
No, I think you're right. They're afraid of. I think they're afraid of men. Like if tomorrow, we've always seen like news bits that have said, what if men all just stopped working tomorrow? What would happen if they all just stopped servicing, our civilization? If they just said, "Fuck this, I'm walking away," what would happen?
Everything would fall apart in a matter of hours.
Right, our infrastructure would be gone. Like everybody would be fucked. And it is. I think that while that is an extreme case, I think that they're genuinely afraid of guys waking up, realizing that they can work together and just beat this back in a day, and doing it. So they have to constantly attack masculinity itself and try to say there's something wrong with it, that it's damaged, and they present a bunch of arguments, and they exclude women from the conversation because by including them, then you would realize that it's not if it's a problem at all, it's not a gendered one, it's just the human experience, and where there are individuals that do this. And that comes down to something else, too, that I often, always run into when I'm talking, looking at the kind of shit the social justice warriors talk about. It's this collectivist thinking, where they basically say the experiences of a woman is an example of the experiences of all women. That's why they use anecdotes to make their arguments, because they think that women are all a collective blob that experience everything and feel everything the exact same way, and that all the actions that men do that are in a given, again, anecdote, like where one man commits a crime, or there is a mass shooting or something, or a rape scandal breaks out, this is a problem that all men are prone to doing. And only people who see human beings as collective pieces that are, they're all male, they're all female, they're straight, they're gay, they're trans, they're cis, they're black, they're white, only people who do that see them as groups and not as individuals, make those kinds of statements. And this is the same kind of thing. And then they, of course, because they need to keep people divided up into like pieces of pie, they need to craft a narrative to fit their collectivist mindset. That's why they can't stand women that walk off the plantation. They can't stand it when people like Milo, who's gay, who's totally supposed to be down with the LGBT activism, is standing against it, and he has his own opinions. They can't stand it when minorities have their own voices and they disagree with things like Black Lives Matter, or they've decided that maybe building a wall in Mexico is a good idea, or whatever it is. Those people are individuals making individual choices, and SJWs cannot stand individualism. They love collectivism. That is their thing. And they only see the world that way. Or they're really intent on making other people see it that way too. And that is really destructive.
I thought that point you made earlier was really interesting. That they're afraid that oh gosh, I'm getting a terrible echo.
That might be me. Hold on, I'll mute.
Okay, so I thought it was a really interesting point that you thought that maybe they were trying to keep men subservient this way because they're afraid of men checking out, like if men suddenly realize, oh, we can survive without women, we're just that every single man would just do it, that they would just up and leave, that they just wouldn't even bother, taking care of anybody but themselves. And it kind of reminded me. I'm going to go a little bit nerdy here, so apologies in advance.
Do it.
It made me think of this episode of Doctor Who I saw a while ago, where there was like this spaceship that was being flown about by this whale, this star whale, and they were torturing the thing by sending shocks through its head in order because they thought that was the only way that they could get it to keep going. But then when they stopped shocking it, it kept carrying them anyway because it was just a nice creature and it wanted to help them. And it just makes me think, well, do they honestly think that men would behave any differently? That if they just stopped torturing men the way they're doing right now, that men wouldn't just keep doing what they're doing? It's like they think men are these terrible people who would just abandon society and leave it to the wolves if they could. Like, it's like,
that's because that's what they are.
I
Like,
guess.
seriously, these are terrible people. They don't understand the higher levels of motivation. It's why, like, I constantly get called a money-grubbing whore. You know, because they can't conceive of the fact that I'm actually taking a risk by, instead of building up a regular business, I'm building up this as a business. Even though this is a much riskier proposition. I could get a job as an office administrator, or I could do this incredibly risky proposition with my time, and make this a full-time job. And they say, they look at that and they can only see the idea that I'm motivated by money, not that I need the money in order to free up my time, because otherwise I'd have to work on something else other than this. And they do this constantly, and I think the individuals who ascribe to this idea of human nature, that women are solely defined by how men act upon them, they have some inability to realize certain aspects, higher aspects of human motivation. And they always reduce everything down to the most basic, the most primitive, the most limbic. Like, the men wouldn't do this unless we were shoving cattle prods up their asses. Because they can't see. They themselves are motivated in that way.
Yeah, because they wouldn't do something just to do something good. No one else will either. It's like, not everyone in the world is a selfish prick like you people are, but they think I guess they think everyone is like that. Like, everyone has to have some kind of I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I had it and then it was gone.
Oh,
whatever.
Slavery. It's essentially a slavery mentality. We believe that slavery is required in order to keep our society alive, and we hide it from ourselves. Whenever we've had a slave society, and I would argue we still do, we hide the mechanism of slavery from ourselves.
Oh, no. Come on. Sorry, pop filter keeps slipping.
Oh.
We hide the mechanism of slavery from ourselves, but it usually slips a bit. And the way you can see how it slips is because stuff like this comes out. Like stuff like, the word for the psychological illness of a slave trying to escape slavery. That kind of shit comes out. And you look at it and it's like, but when you're inured in this, I mean, even you, me, and Brian aren't reacting to this to the level that people right now would react to the idea that there was once a mental illness defined as, in terms of a slave is trying to escape slavery. I mean, right now, that just seems so fucking absurd. It's like, it seems self-serving. Well, that's exactly what this is. It's absurd, it's self-serving, and it's incredibly bigoted.
All right. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. I guess it's just, it's like there's still, it's hard to believe that people are using these kinds of talking points, and this is normal. This is the thing that blows my mind. Like, whenever I think about a feminist that goes and speaks in front of hundreds of thousands of people, or gets on television on like a TEDx talk, or goes to the UN, or goes in front of the Oxford College, assembly or whatever, and they speak about how toxic men are. It's in their blood. It's something about them that is baked in, and that something has to be done. It shocks me to a degree that a woman or a man or a feminist is up there saying this stuff. Okay? But what's more mind-blowing, far more, is that everyone who's listening is okay with it. Not only that, but they applaud them when it's over. So they believe in it. It's not just that they're like Lori Penny is up there talking, or that one guy, I forget his name, but he made a book about toxic masculinity, I suppose, and he has spoken at TED Talks several times. It's not. It doesn't really shock me that those kinds of people exist that have that kind of hate in them towards men and masculinity. But the fact that there are so many people that listen and watch and they like it, and they're in favor of it, and they don't think that there's anything wrong with it, and they really do believe that that's the best course of action.
Which is probably yet another reason so many men buy into feminism, because everyone else is agreeing with this, so they're like, well, maybe there actually is something wrong with me. Maybe I actually should turn myself over to feminists to try to fix me. When you've got thousands of people applauding at a woman who says, masculinity's bad. Well, yeah, you're gonna think you're a bad person for being masculine, because we're a social species, so we want to be accepted, and if we're not being accepted, then we're gonna try to fix what's making us not be accepted. And for some of these men who ascribe to feminism, they probably think feminism is the only way they'll be accepted.
Okay, I want to add something to this, maybe take it from a different angle. This is a way of purging ourselves of a perception of women having a moral choice. So everything that these are all human frailties, human problems, human flaws, and human aggressions. And in this document is saying that no, that women do not engage in this, at least not through their femininity. The femininity is the most wonderful and pure and supernaturally good thing about them. Their femininity is godliness, basically. But it's masculinity, and it's when women engage in masculine negativity that they engage in these kinds of behaviors. So that's what they're doing. They're essentially separating masculinity and making it immoral and degraded and demonic, and femininity is all the good aspects of humanity. But what's interesting is that women aren't embodiments of like spiritual paragons. They're actual human beings. So this is a roadmap to deification of women. And it's like, on the one hand, yeah, it's deification of women, but on the other hand, women are not deities. They're human beings. And they have the needs of a human being, not the needs of a deity. The deity doesn't have needs. But it's like all of this is in service of the deification of women. That's what this is. It's an explanation for how negative human traits aren't feminine, but are masculine. Therefore, the feminine is basically deity. It's basically the spiritual excellence or some shit. And this is how they view women. And
it is self-serving, because if everyone thinks women are deities, no one's going to question a woman.
Well, it's not. Well, they'll question us because we are apostate. If you deny the divinity of the feminine as a woman, then you become the masculine. You become the degraded masculine. You're one of those witches who's taken the Satan's penis inside her. So
yay!
You get thrown out of polite society. This is exactly that dynamic. Satan is masculine. God is feminine. And us women, Ceara and me, we are basically honorary men in this analysis. We are witches who've succumbed to this satanic whispering of the demonic masculine. This is what this is.
Yep. It's a religion.
Well, our role is to be deified as feminine, or to worship. We are to be the avatars, the embodiment of the divine feminine, and in the process, all of our humanity is erased. What a fucking stupid idea.
Oh, let's get this last paragraph
Right.
so we
This
can.
is the
so we
last
can,
section.
Oh, God.
Externalization. A proclivity for engagement in acting out behavior such as addictions and substances, or addictions to substances, work, and sex. Aggression towards partners and family, planned or random acts of violence, such as mass shootings or genocide, to relieve unresolved feelings of fear, shame, and loneliness, and in compensation for the feeling of not being man enough. So when Hitler killed all those Jews, he did it because of toxic masculinity.
He didn't feel manly
He
enough.
didn't feel manly enough. He was being held up to impossible standards of masculinity. And, you know, he became addicted to substances, work, and sex. He planned random acts of violence, such as genocide, in order to relieve his unresolved feelings of fear, shame, and loneliness. That's why he did that.
Yeah, and Elliot Rodger shot up all those people because he just wasn't getting enough pussy.
Well, those MRAs, those damn MRAs were essentially telling him to do that, despite the fact that Elliot Rodger was the supreme gentleman. I don't know. You know, this is just.
I can't. I don't think my brain can process any more of this.
This isn't really. I mean, these aren't really new arguments. They're just saying the same old thing. You know, being a man, for whatever reason, our society holds manhood to be so incredibly valuable and such a narrow and high platitude of achievement that many, many men cannot do it because we have such a narrow view of what masculinity is, and therefore when they don't succeed to become masculine, they end up killing people. That's essentially what they're saying. And what we need to do is teach men to feel. Feel the way women do. Do the stuff that women do because women do it better. And women totally do not kill anyone, and they don't rape, and they don't plan genocides, and they never hurt anybody.
And women can't express their. It isn't because women don't express their vulnerabilities because they actually have a society that will listen to them and men who will care for them when they express those vulnerabilities. They're able to express those vulnerabilities simply because they're a superior class of person.
Yeah. I love this. I love this whole thing where it's like, oh well, men become bad because they can't express their emotions because society tells them not to, and then down the road you got a freaking bunch of feminists drinking out of male tears mugs. It's like, okay, so society doesn't take men's feelings seriously, and you're sitting and you're saying that's the problem. That's what's wrong with men, but you're sitting over there making fun of men's feelings by drinking out of a mug that says male tears. It's like, are you sure you aren't the problem?
Well, they want men to express themselves, but they don't want to hear it.
Basically.
They want men to do it somewhere else. I don't know.
You're allowed to express your feelings as long as you're expressing feelings in the way that we think you should. If you're upset about anything involving feminism, that's not you having a genuine reaction to being upset. That's just you whining because you're losing privilege. It's like, so the stuff that's actually upsetting men, you don't want to hear about because you think that they shouldn't be upset about this. You think they should be upset about this instead. It's I can't. My brain. It's.
I'm gonna. I don't know. Is there any? Do we want to? Okay. So this book. They have. Let's see. They have some other posts here. I see good men. I almost don't even want to click that. Join the Revolution to Liberate Men, a revolutionary book for women about men and masculinity. You ever notice that, well, I mean, we said this before on other shows, but I've noticed that whenever feminists are talking about the ways that they want to help men, they actually start making, like, I don't know, posts and websites and products that are, and they do speeches where they want to address men's issues, which they only started doing very recently, by the way. And it's likely because the MRM is actually getting more play, and I think that feminists are trying to like get ahead of the ball to make sure that they can do it under their umbrella before people start talking to the MRM. I mean, that's why they tried to prevent Cassie J from essentially making her movie the way she wanted to by offering her movie being The Red Pill, which is going to be coming out this year sometime. Feminists threw a bunch of money at her, and they said, well, we'll fund the whole thing if you let us, basically edit the movie and do it the way we'd like to do it. You give us a hand in the creative process. And she had to say no because they were going to make it about them. And you notice that whenever feminists do finally decide, okay, I guess we're going to have to talk about men's issues, how are we going to do that? Well, let's make it about how they affect women. Mm-hmm. And that's basically the whole thing. It's all about, well, masculinity only matters in terms of how it is an agent or the super agent against women, and how we have to essentially get men to change their behavior to better protect and serve women, because women can't do that for themselves. We know that. we can only get men to do it. And so it ends up, it's hateful towards both genders. Go ahead.
Well, what I find interesting about all this, and I think you're going to have to mute there, Brian.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think I can get you. Okay, there. That's good. While feminists say they want to help men, well, actually, they don't say they want to help men. Essentially, what they say is, men, help yourselves. This is your problem. You have to deal with mascu-pathy. That's the problem, and you need to deal with it yourselves. They don't offer any concrete help, aside from blaming men more. And
well, they blame patriarchy. They just say patriarchy is the cause of your problems, and feminism is trying to take down patriarchy. So if you just leave us alone and let us take down patriarchy, all your problems will be solved.
Well, not just leave them alone, take down patriarchy. You need to take down patriarchy too. Mm-hmm. And yet, if patriarchy is the institution that's setting these incredibly high standards for men that men have to uphold, there must be some way that men are being, well, exploited by patriarchy. I'm just following their logic, and thus are not actually in control of it, because that's what they're asserting. And when they say get rid of patriarchy and you'll be free, well, feminists are asserting that men are exploited by patriarchy, but somehow simultaneously in control of it. That's the stupidest, Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. How can you be controlling something that is also hurting you? Like, why would you use a system to hurt yourself? Like, why would you do that? You wouldn't. So the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Never has made sense.
No, it's their way of excusing themselves from actually emphasizing that maybe women have a role to play in stepping up to the plate. Because who is going to listen to men's vulnerabilities? Men listen to women's vulnerabilities. Who's going to listen to men's vulnerabilities? Who?
Other men.
Well, yeah, but that still gets into like, I mean, if you are in a situation where men are vulnerable because they're men, then you got to have a group of people who aren't vulnerable in the same way to listen to your vulnerabilities. Otherwise, it's just. I don't think it works, because you can't be simultaneously vulnerable and being strong and listening to at the same time. It doesn't seem to work. And also it once again goes back to the idea that men have to do the work.
Yeah.
Which is the ultimate analysis of all feminist theory. Men have to do the work for women.
And men have to do the work for other men. Women don't do anything; they just sit there. No, but it's also the fact that I don't know how many men would be comfortable talking to women about these kinds of things.
Well, they shouldn't be, because women don't they don't have any kind of role model or way of being held to a standard of service or protection of men.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't trust men with this, or women with this shit. I don't know how to end this impasse, and feminism doesn't help. Essentially, it just continues the same old shit. Just one more round of the same old shit.
Yep. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, as it were. So that's the book. It's like between $10 and $15. I'm guessing that that's what Anthrax goes for these days. If you want to read. And
I don't know why anyone would even buy it. Why would anybody even support these people? Why would anybody even?
Well, I mean, again, you know, here it is. There's a website. There's a book. I kind of want to see if it's on Amazon or something, and maybe like see what reviews there are. I doubt it, but it's possible.
Hang on. Just go to Amazon real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Look up mascupathy and Amazon. See if they're selling it there. Okay. But they're probably selling it to their website because of profits. Just in the same way that Fuck Hate is selling T-shirts. I mean, engaging in activism to change the world and make it a better place. What was that, Allison?
It's on Amazon. It's got 16 positive reviews.
Oh, great.
No, 8 positive reviews. And you can actually see the fuckers who are behind it.
Do you want to give me a link and I'll share the screen? Last thing about this space I'm going to say, notice, no comment section.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Have an opinion on the thing that you have just been told because we are your betters and we know what is good for you. All right, so here's the Amazon article. Oops.
Well, at least this way, if someone wanted to buy the book and read it, they could do so without actually supporting this stupid site.
Okay, Charlie. No, they'll get proceeds from Amazon from selling it through Amazon. So here's the first customer review. Charlie and Randy devoted their counseling careers to working with men and have learned volumes about men's neuroses from their years of professional experience. I feel that this book is essential reading for every man or woman who knows and loves a man. The authors who are pro-feminist and hold men accountable deliver hard-hitting realities about men with compassion and care for the boys we were all at one time. They have delved deep into the socialization of boys, which stresses all of us and pushes many of us to violence and isolation. I believe this book to be for men what great books like The Feminist Mystique was for women and their liberation. The link to many of the problems of our world faces can be linked to what these two courageous men called masculopathy. You know, that's what's really funny. It's like the real problem here, like I said, is that we do not acknowledge men's vulnerability. We don't acknowledge it when men break down. They have to bear all of this in silence. And the fact that it ends in violence, usually in self-directed violence, is because we force men to, this society does not acknowledge men's vulnerabilities or the idea that men might need help. And this is what these people are doing. They're continuing that. They're saying that men are never helpless, that they are ultimately responsible for everything. Well, when you say that to men, there's no space for them to acknowledge their vulnerability or their needs.
Look at the name of that book that guy wrote. Stop hurting the woman you love.
I right-clicked on the authors and opened up to see what else they've written. So Randy Flood also wrote a book called Stop Hurting the Woman You Love, Breaking the Cycle of Abusive Behavior. Let's see, what else has he written? Is that all? All right. So
looks like it. What about the other guy?
Let's find out. Charlie Donaldson.
They wrote the book together. Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah. And he's apparently the co-founder and director of the Institute for the Prevention and Treatment of Mascupathy. And yeah.
I'd say the other guy's the other co-founder probably.
Yeah, I'm guessing he is. Therapist with the Fountain Hill Center, co-founder and director of the Men's Resource Center and the Center for the Prevention of Treatment of them.
And they both have master's degrees. Where'd you guys get your degrees from? Cereal boxes?
Degrees? I'm sorry, but master's degrees don't mean shit anymore.
I know.
They don't mean shit anymore. You can.
I like how.
Go ahead, Allison.
This is pro-feminist because they hold men accountable, but holding women accountable, that's anti-feminist.
Yeah, well, you're not punching up, Allison. You're supposed to be punching up at all times.
Well, no, I actually find this the most offensive possible thing. The pro-feminist analysis holds men responsible, but never holds women responsible. So it's just perpetuating the idea that everything stops with men. The buck stops with men. Now, I'm going to be like a fucking asshole about this, but at some point in time, it would be nice for it to be acknowledged that the buck stops with women and women have to be responsible.
Yeah.
Because they are responsible. And, taking responsibility is a fundamental aspect of achievement and success. So what they're doing is they're perpetuating toxic gender roles in the guise of so-called helping men and women. They are the most self-serving individuals. They're just they're just getting on an already built platform and scavenging off of it. Brian, I gotta mute you because they are standing on something that has already been built. This whole idea, this whole edifice, either biological or social, this edifice that women are acted upon and men act upon women. Women have no responsibility to take, men have absolute responsibility to take. And they are forcing these gender roles back on men and women because this is the biggest platform in which they could scavenge the most amount of fucking filthy lucre. At the least risk to themselves, and I don't even fucking know if my rant made any sense to anyone, but there it is.
Yeah, it made sense to me.
I wonder, because, okay, so they have 8 5-star reviews and no reviews that are lower at all. I wonder, can you, if you know the right people, can you kind of like, is there a way to modify, like, or otherwise edit like your Amazon review scores? Like, can people go in and basically like take bad reviews out if you know the right people? Also, if they only got 8 reviews, could these 8 people be like them and like their friends that made accounts and wrote shit? Because it's crazy because they're all 5-star reviews. And I find that incredibly fucking fishy.
Well, with all this like internet policing that's been going on in the past couple of years, it wouldn't surprise me if you could get a review taken down by claiming that it's harassment. So
yeah, especially when it comes to my narratives. And I'm only saying that because I don't know, like
it seems like something that has ideas that are this bad would have some kind of negative thing, some kind of negative review somewhere. I refuse to believe that there's never been one.
Yeah, exactly. Man, like, I don't know. Could this be a product of guilt? I don't know. I'm blown away by the degree to which these guys would write this shit, and they think that then they would get like great reviews, and all of it just looks fucking fishy to me. That this is credible, and it's coming from universities, and people are just eating that shit up, and we're supposed to accept that a bachelor's degree or a master's degree is worth anything these days.
Yeah, a bachelor's degree is the new high school diploma, and the freaking master's degree is the new bachelor's degree.
Yeah, associates.
So
it's the new associate's
degree. Yeah. God.
Yeah.
What just gets me is constantly that they take the low risk proposition of not recognizing that the real problem is not recognizing male vulnerability. They take the low-risk position of just re-emphasizing men's responsibility and women's patiency in all of this.
Well, it's easier. You make money that way. People know that. It's the easiest way to make money now. Make women the victims and men the perpetrators. It's the easiest way to make money. I mean, Anita Sarkeesian proved that. What? She got like $500,000 now, probably more, just from being a victim. I mean, yeah, it's lucrative. Why would you do anything else if you're a greedy son of a bitch?
What's fucking annoying about it is it's not progressive. It's low risk. It's absolutely traditionalist. In fact, it's worse than traditionalist. It's like taking traditional food and taking away all of its nutritive value and then just leaving fucking junk traditionalism. And it's like, it's such lazy schlock. Like, it doesn't have any deep analysis, any real understanding of human nature, and it's just fuck.
Well, I mean,
I squish you, squish. Oh, you guys don't get that reference, do you?
I do. It's Kids in the Hall.
Yeah, I didn't get it. It went right over my head. Sorry.
Squish your heads.
Squish. Okay, yeah, let's call it.
I'm squishing their heads right now. These are the good men, though, Allison. These two are the good men.
I don't think they're fucking good men. No. They don't give a shit about men. But
Mhm.
I will have my responsibility. Thank you, Mr. Flood and Mr. Donaldson. I will be recognized as a human being with flaws and failures and problems and potentially violent and irrational and stupid and not able to handle my fucking emotions. I will be recognized with all it is exactly as debased and demonic and ridiculous and fucked up as a man. And you can't take that away from me.
No. You know, Allison, we get called gender traitors by feminists. These guys are the gender traitors.
Well,
These guys,
they're everything traitors.
these guys are the gender traitors. They are throwing other men under the bus to make money. So they should be ashamed. Shame, shame, shame. Ding, ding, ding.
Sure.
They enjoy that. They enjoy the shaming from women. So what I'm going to say to them is that there is value to masculinity that nothing can change. You have value just by having gone through puberty as a man. And that's going to be even more of a mindfuck for those two than anything else I could possibly say.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I got something to say too. I appreciate masculinity. You guys apparently don't. You guys apparently don't appreciate masculinity. I appreciate men. I appreciate them being down in the sewers, cleaning up all of that junk. I appreciate them going through the landfills and cleaning up our trash. I appreciate the garbage men who come and take our garbage away. I appreciate all that. But you don't. They don't, apparently, because, all masculine traits are bad. Everything men do is bad. So,
Well, here, how about this? This is what I have to say for Mr. Flood and Mr. Donaldson. Men, by virtue of their masculinity, by virtue of having gone through puberty, by virtue of maturing into an adult male hormonal system, are the most compassionate, the most considerate, the most cooperative, the most innovative, and the most empathetic creatures on the planet. Just by virtue of having gone through puberty and having developed an adult male hormonal system. Their masculinity, rather than degrading them, being something that's demonizing and a mental illness, their masculinity is a sublime aspect of humanity. And it is men's masculinity that is what makes us human. Because what defines us as human beings is the fact that men take on such an extensive role of fatherhood. That men are very, very cooperative with each other. That men are highly socially and emotionally attuned to other human beings. So they protect and provide for other human beings, even at the cost of sacrificing themselves. So in countering Mr. Flood and Mr. Donaldson, I would say masculinity, as defined by an adult hormonal system that a boy achieves having gone through puberty, is the defining human characteristic of our species. And we as women are lucky to be able to be part of it, to be able to witness it, to be able to partake in this great experiment called humanity. And people will say, "Oh, I'm just being way, way, way too pro-male." But if you look at the anthropological record and you look at what anthropologists are asserting, it is fatherhood, the uniquely invested qualities of men in their offspring, and the uniquely cooperative relationship between men that makes us human. All of us. And you two are taking one long yellow-brown fucking turd on what makes us human. And you should be flushed along with it.
that was... Sorry.
It's all right.
You're having a really
I don't give a shit.
speech
Like
there.
I'm sucking your balls. I'm going full MRA. I may be going full MRA, but I'm going full MRA based on anthropological research. That is what makes us human. Other species have involved mothers. Other species have females who cooperate. We are the only species with such a high level of male cooperation and male involvement in children.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
well, maybe wolves, but wolves kill each other at unbelievable rates. So, so there's something that's what makes us special. And it doesn't degrade me as a woman to say that that is what makes us human, because my father taught me so much. And witnessing cooperative relationships between men, it elevates everyone. All right, I'm gonna just.
No.
I was rather enjoying that.
Yeah.
So.
More rants. No, you need.
Okay. All right. All right. Full MRA. All right. Why are men like that? Because throughout all of history, women selected them to be that way. Until now. I don't know what the fuck we're selecting men for now. But throughout our evolutionary history, female Anthropolophicus, female proto-human, selected men who were cooperative, who invested in their children, who were highly social, who were highly empathic. So it's not just the fact that men are that way. It's the fact that men were selected by women to be that way. And I don't know what the fuck we're doing now anymore. And it just reminds me of this stupid thing that women do. They're like, oh, my husband is such a fucking idiot. And I'm like, you chose him. You chose him. What does it say about you? So when we say that men are these degraded creatures, well, what they're saying is women chose them throughout all of human evolution to be these degraded creatures. Well, who the fuck is the real idiot at the end of the day then?
They are the gatekeepers. If that's the game we're gonna play.
Well, if you're saying there's masculopathy, who is the fucking real idiot? What are they really pointing to, this Mr. Flood and Mr. Donaldson? Because when you apply that to reality, women have been selecting. The selective pressure are doing the selective pressure on men. So they have selected sociopaths who hate people? Well, who's the fucking idiot here? Who is the fucking stupid gender? And I apologize to Ceara because I've just totally hijacked her fucking show.
It's okay. Hey,
I'm done. I'm done.
I'm liking this. That's okay.
Yes.
Like everything I was thinking, you pretty much just said. You're better at speaking than me. I've never been good at public speaking, so.
Well, considering that the divorce rate is as high as it is right now, Allison, it would appear that women themselves don't know what to choose, or because we are still working from the idea that women choose, and the men that are out there to be chosen from, who are raised mostly by single mothers and by a mostly female caregiving system, are apparently not worthy of being chosen because of how high the divorce rate is. So what does that say?
Well,
if we look at it through that lens.
Yeah, we're raising boys to not be boys anymore. We're like the whole thing about toxic masculinity, the whole thing about treating boys as if there's something wrong with them whenever they're too rambunctious as a child, and sticking them on ADHD meds and all this crap. When you raise these boys their entire lives to think to try to intentionally avoid all these things that make them masculine, by the time they grow up, they're not going to be masculine anymore. Well, a woman's not going to be attracted to a man who's not masculine. That's what they don't understand. Masculine traits are attractive to women, and when you strip men of those traits, they're not going to be attractive to women anymore, and thus the divorce rate is going to skyrocket, because women are going to marry these men not because they respect them or because they wanted them, but because of, necessity. And that's not any way to start a marriage. And when you think of it like that, it makes sense, because get rid of masculinity, not going to be attractive to women anymore.
Yep.
It's just that simple. But feminists don't understand that. They keep expecting men to only be masculine when it suits them. Because I guarantee you right now, if there was some feminist walking down the street and she was jumped by a rapist or something, like they like to act like happens all the time, if they were jumped by some rapist and dragged down a dark alley, I guarantee you they wouldn't want one of those manginas they've trained coming to rescue them. They'd want some big muscular masculine man to come down there and save their asses.
A guy in a leather vest with long hair on a crotch rocket, as yes, Gavin McGinnis would have said that.
Okay, I gotta get going though, guys.
Yeah, we all gotta go, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to thank Allison for coming on the show with me, and I especially want to thank our guest, Ceara. Ceara, thank you for coming on the show and hanging out with us and helping us traps through this fucking cancerous fucking article.
If you ever open up some time again, you should come back on.
Yeah, we'll totally have you back on for whatever. We like to do lots of different kinds of shows, so.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. This Fireside Chat was a little bit different because we were just kind of hanging out and looking at articles. So, but if you have a comment about that horrific shit that we just went through, or if you're a big fan of Ceara and you want to send her a shout out, please do so in the comments section. I've included a link to her YouTube channel already. So hopefully you guys, if you're not already subscribed, you should definitely go over there and do that. And I don't know, feed the badger. Feed the badger. I will say that. And thanks for coming with us. Thank you, Ceara. Thank you, Alice.